Hello, people. This is Jyotsna, and you are listening to my podcast, Just Being Jyotsna. So, I hope you're all doing well. I'm back with another episode, and this episode is pretty special because it is a book review. And quite frankly, I have been able to complete a whole book after years, and it felt really good. So, the book was A Thousand Splendid Suns by Khaled Hosseini. And I'm only being a little dramatic when I say that in the 2 days that I read the book, it gave me 1,000 aching heartaches and 1,000 splendid reconciliations. So, yes, A Thousand Splendid Suns is a story of the Afghan war told through the lives of two women, Maryam and Leila. The book is full of tragedy. The book brings out the loss that war brings. And it also deals with how people deal with the war, how people work their way through the struggle through the lens of these two women. One of the things that I loved the most about this book was how it reconstructed the concept of beauty. I don't remember one part in the book where Khaled Hosseini gave a physical description of these women, telling us that they are pretty. But by the time that I finished reading the book, the mere thought of either one of them, Maryam or Leila, the mere thought of them was beautiful in itself. And that is an inspirational power of a writer, right? To not actually describe something, but yet to make the reader feel that. Similarly, by the end of the story, I had a picture of two cities that I have never visited in my mind. I had an image of three different houses, like I had actually lived in them. So the characters in the story are extremely complex, be it the main ones or be it the supporting ones. And the book is spread across 30 years, more than 30 years. So, Maryam and Leila, both women had faced their struggles in childhood, different kind of struggles, and were pushed into tragedies. Maryam was a child born out of wedlock, and she and her mother Nana had been shunned out of the city of Herat and made to live in a hut outside on the outskirts of the city. And to Maryam, her father was a hero in her childhood. Because to her, the father was a well-dressed, wise, and affectionate man who brought her gifts and stories every weekend. While, on the other hand, her mother was a constant presence who did not know affection. Nana was a woman who had been wronged by life so much that all the affection out of her had been destroyed. It was describing this hardship that Nana once told Maryam that whenever something happens, like a compass needle, a man's finger always points towards a woman. This is one of the defining lines of Nana's character because this explains her whole life, the story of her existence. It is much later, through a series of heartbreaking events, that Mariam comes to see the difference between the guilt ridden affection given to her by her father and the gloomy but constant love given to her by her mother. Leila, on the other hand, had a very different kind of childhood. She lived in the city of Kabul and she was surrounded by households that wanted to get their daughters married as a child against their wills. But Laila's father wanted her to study and he dreamt of Laila becoming someone that Afghanistan would look up to. While her father was extremely affectionate and supportive of her, Laila's mother faced depression, so she never received love from her mother's side. And the mother was depressed because she had two sons who were a part of the war that was going on, the war of an Afghan rebel group against the Soviet government over there. That made Leila feel like there was a void in her mother's life that she tried to fill, but she knew that she could never become what her brothers were. While full of struggles, both the childhoods had their own rays of sunshine. In Mariam's life, the ray of sunshine was an old man called Mullah Faizullah, who was her mentor, her friend, her teacher. And by the end of the story, I realized that Mullah Faizullah also had dreams for Mariam, like Laila's father had for Laila. And in Laila's life, the ray of sunshine was her father, of course, but also a friend named Tariq. So Laila and Tariq's friendship slowly turns into love, and it is very beautiful to watch how their relationship unfolds. So, with all its beauty, A Thousand Splendid Suns is still a story based in tragedy and in war. The first tragedy of Mariam's life was that she was forced into a child marriage with a man named Rashid. And in the very beginning of the marriage, while it was a forced one, while it was unsettling, Rashid provides a momentary sense of relief because I compared him to Mariam's father. As time goes on, he turns into a misogynistic, violent husband whom you start to hate more than you hate the war that is actually going on outside that house. Laila's life took a treacherous turn, and it was the war that was to blame. She was also forced into a very difficult life, but it is their tragedy that made the lives of Mariam and Laila cross paths. In the beginning of Mariam and Laila's relationship, I was really anxious about how and where the story was going. But as the story unfolds, they develop a relationship almost of a mother and a daughter. Laila finds the comfort of a mother in Mariam, the comfort that she never could find in her own mother, while Mariam understands her own mother through the relationship she has with Laila. It is unsettling to watch the tragedies these women have to face within their houses and outside, while it is also beautiful to have their turns to be as brave as anyone could be and to stand up for themselves and for each other at the most unexpected of situations, in the most unexpected of ways. And as I said, the story is spread across a span of more than 30 years, and not one character is the same by the end of the story as they were in the beginning. And it is divided into 4 parts, and my favorite is the third part because it tells the story in the form of chapters which have alternating point of views. While one chapter is from Layla's point of view, the other one is from Mariam's, and the other one Layla's. That's how it goes on. And while both of these women are experiencing and struggling through the same war, through the same difficult life, knowing their stories, knowing who they are, we know how different it is from each of their point of view. And this book deals with multiple themes, and it has both painful and beautiful parts in it. The concepts of child marriage, of the deep ingrained patriarchy and misogyny, the lack of freedom for women to even walk on the roads, and the loss that war brings home. These, coupled with complex characters and beautiful relationships and unexpected takes on love. So the ending of this book left me completely conflicted about how I should be feeling or how I was feeling. Because in that ending, there is a dream come true, while there is also a painful tragedy. I do not remember being able to describe my state of mind at that point. There is one portion in the story where Layla thinks about a new beginning in her life. And I'm going to quote a couple of lines from that portion. It goes, "It would be an existence rife with difficulties, she saw, but of a pleasurable kind. Difficulties they could take pride in, possess, value, as one would a family heirloom." While out of context, these couple of lines might seem insignificant, in the story, they actually describe the amount of difficulties that they have faced in their lives, that they were ready to do any amount of work, put in any amount of effort to start a new beginning that was not this. Also, there was another interesting thing. Now, whenever I read about a refugee crisis or a refugee or the story of someone that I am in no way related to, or a situation to which I do not feel any connect personally, now I feel some familiarity, some familiar kind of pain in the form of a memory from A Thousand Splendid Suns, because it takes you through a journey of what war can do to lives. So, with that note, I come to the end of this episode. Thank you for listening, and if you like this podcast and if you've not yet subscribed, you can subscribe to it on YouTube, Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere else that you're listening. Thank you. Bye-bye.